Yo, what's up boys? I'm Chevelle and today I want to talk to you about pre-patch Subtlety Rogue. As you all know by now, a few days ago pre-patch has landed and we're all trying to figure out if the Subtlety dream is real and if swapping off of Outlaw and Assassination is going to be a viable option. I'll be looking at both sub single target and sub for Mythic Plus and see if we can finally play the spec without our group shouting at us or just not even inviting us at all. First up, the changes that sub has gotten with the pre-patch are as follows. Nightblade has been removed and replaced by Rupture. This effectively removes the damage amp from Nightblade, but Rupture does have a longer duration, which is positive for the spec. Find Weakness is now baseline instead of a talent. Besides a talent slot clearing up, Find Weakness lasts longer, and rank 2 a backstab also allows critical strikes from behind to apply Find Weakness. What this means is that our uptime on Find Weakness will almost be 100% now. Shuriken Storm has lost its built-in damage increase during Shadow Dance. Shadow Dance is now on a 1-charge baseline and the Enveloping Shadows talent now increases that to 2 charges. The duration, however, has been increased from 5 to 8 seconds. Overall, I think this is going to have minimal impact and it will roughly feel the same as in BFA in regards to uptime. Besides old abilities coming back, we've also had a couple of new abilities or returning abilities. I'm gonna list those off right now and we're gonna run over them really quick. Slice and Dice is back, baby. You'll be keeping this up 100% of the time. That means with Rupture being added and Nightblade being removed, it's looking like the amount of maintenance finisher moves will stay roughly the same. Premeditation has been added as a talent instead of Find Weakness. Find Weakness used to be in the talent tree, they removed that, and now Premeditation has come in its place. If you remember the good old days, you'll probably be as happy as me to see the spell return. However, there is a slight change. Premeditation activates in stealth and will then trigger off of the next shadow strike you do. Once activated, you gain 10 seconds of Slice and Dice. However, if Slice and Dice is already up, you gain 2 additional combo points. Currently, it seems to also add the 10 seconds of Slice and Dice when Slice and Dice is already up. The tooltip does not specify this, so I'm not sure if this is working as intended. The talent works with Shadow Dance, so it adds a very convenient way of setting up or extending your Slice and Dice and gain some additional combo points similar to the Azerite power, the First Dance. Poisons have returned to all rogue specs. For a sub, this means we now have access to Crippling Poison, Wound Poison, and Instant Poison. With poisons, we have an iconic rogue ability returning to our toolkit. When it comes to gameplay, this really changes nothing for us though. Besides the fact that some of us may have to grab a weak aura to remind us of applying poisons every hour. You know who you are. Shiv has also returned as a utility ability. In pre-patch, we only have rank 1 as Shiv though, so the only interaction it has is with active non-lethal poisons, so it's not too impactful currently. Now besides old spells and talents returning and new things being added, there have also been AOE caps added and global cooldown changes made. Let's go over those really quick right now. I just want to go over these really quick since there's not much to say about them at all. With pre-patch, all the AOE caps have been added and Rogue is no exception. Subtlety is affected by this in 2 cases. Shuriken Storm is capped at 8 targets. Shuriken Storm being capped won't change much or anything at all for us. We don't use Shuriken Storm for its damage, we use it for combo point generation. We could just fuel these combo points into priority damage and AoE finishers, which brings me to the next affected spell. Secret Technique. Secret Technique is capped at 6 targets. This cap might actually be noticeable in the bigger AoE pools, however, again, most of the damage from Secret Technique will go into the main target, so overall I don't think we suffered that much from the AoE caps. As for the global cooldown changes, I don't think there's very much to say at all. We've had 1 ability removed from the global cooldown, which is Shadow Blades. Now Shadow Blades is off the global cooldown, that means we can easily combo it with Symbols of Death without losing a global. It doesn't really impact our spec or playstyle at all though, it's just very convenient. Before I dive into the talents, essences, traits, and stat priorities that I've been using over the past few days, I'd like to talk quickly about my thoughts about Subtlety for the time being. Remember, this reflects on the status sub currently. This could change like tomorrow for all I know with a hotfix. However, for now, I think subs had a bad reputation for almost the entirety of BFA, with the only point where I played it being Zul and Uldir. After the massive abuse of sub rogues on Zul, we got hit with a nerf bad so hard that he never saw his return. My current outlook on things though is very positive. With the squish and scaling changes, numbers are looking better again. The tuning is subject to change and things can also vary again when we enter Shadowlands max level content. But for now, sub looks like it will be a very solid pick alongside the other rogue specs. Especially as a single target spec. Compared to assassination, sub looks very competitive. I do think rogues will always have a spot in Mythic Plus because of all our utility. With Season 4 coming to an end, the pillars are going to be gone. Shroud of Concealment's going to have a place in the game again, which means rogues are going to have a place in the group. Besides that, if we choose to play sub, and if we can play sub, during Shadowlands, we might not get invited for our damage as rogues in the end. However, as Subtlety, you have a lot of utility. In Shadowlands, you can cheap shot almost every target. Control and utility are some of the most important things in Mythic Plus, so I think currently we're in a very good position. Now that we're done covering all the changes that pre-patch has brought to Subtlety Rogue, let's get on with the fun stuff. First off, the single target build I found does the most damage currently. You're going to want to run one of the following sets of essences. For me, these two sim with a roughly 5 DPS difference, so let it depend on what essences you currently have. First off, World Fane Major, Crucible of Flame Minor, Lucid Dream Minor, and Breath of the Dying Minor. As a second choice, you could run World Fane Major, Crucible of Flame Minor, Lucid Dream Minor, and Conflict and Strife Minor. One more change you can make is that if you do not have World Fane, you run Crucible of Flame as a major. That was a roughly 50 DPS loss for me on Sims, however, it's just another option for you to go with. As for the Azerite traits, you're going to want to run the head from Mott, the Stygian Guise, the chest piece from Carapace, Tortured Flesh Beast Carius, and the shoulders from N'Zoth, Pauldrons of Great Convergence. This means that you want to run triple Heart of Darkness, 1 The Last Dance, 1 Inevitability, and 1 Blade in the Shadows. Now, last but not least, the talents. These are very straightforward. On the first row, Weapons Master pulls ahead for single target easily. Second row, Night Stalker for that sweet flat 12% damage during dance. On the third row, we take Deeper Stratagem. Fourth and fifth row, you pick whoever floats your boat. Sixth row, Enveloping Shadows. This talent has a great synergy with Night Stalker, so you definitely want that. And on the last row, Master of Shadows just helps you squeeze out as many globals as you can during that 8-second shadow dance. As for the stat weights, we'll keep it short and simple. Agility is king. After Agility, you go Versatility, then Crit, Mastery, Haste. These differ on every character a little bit, so I would recommend, if you want to get the correct ones for you, you run a quick sim of your character. Now, last but not least, let's see what's the best for Subtlety and Mythic Plus. The essence choices are actually pretty hard to sim with a lot of options being roughly a 50 DPS difference. I've picked the two I think have the most potential. The first one, Blood of the Enemy Major, Crucible of Flame Minor, Lucid Dream Minor, and Breath of the Dying Minor. This setup gives you a major that you only have to use every minute and a half, which gives you incredibly bursty damage, which I personally enjoy a lot and I think is a great choice for Mythic Plus. Second choice, Sims is a plus 70 DPS increase, however, the second set of essences is Breath of the Dying Major, Crucible of Flame Minor, Lucid Dream Minor, and Conflict and Strife Minor. Now the Azerite traits that simmed the best for me were the High Altitude Turban, which I got from the Titan Resident Vendor, N'Zoth's Pauldrons of Great Convergence, and the Tortured Flesh Beast Carius from Carapace of N'y'alotha. That means the traits I run are as follows: 1 Replicate in Shadows, 1 The Last Dance, 1 Inevitability, 1 Blade in the Shadows, and double Heart of Darkness. I've not got the gear to try and run triple Heart of Darkness and drop Blade in the Shadows, however I do think that setup might be even better. As for the talents, they're very similar to the single target talents we just showed, with the only changes being on the first row and the last row. First row, Premeditate. This makes maintenance of Slice and Dice much easier and really helps the spec flow better in Mythic Plus. Second row is unchanged with Night Stalker for a sweet flat 12% damage during dance. Third row, Deeper Stratagem. Fourth and fifth row, Whatever Floats Your Boat again. Sixth row is still Enveloping Shadows for that great synergy with Night Stalker. And the last row is, who would have guessed, Secret Technique. Because we do have to get an AOE finisher from somewhere, and this sim's just a little bit better than the energy regen from Dance does. And by a little bit, I mean it's roughly 150 DPS increase. As for the stat weights, they are exactly the same, which is nice and easy. Agility is king. After agility, you go versatility, crit, mastery, and haste. Again, these differ on every character a little bit. I recommend to get the correct ones for you, you run a quick sim of your character. As for our rotation and cooldown priorities, here's the list I try to follow. Shadow Strike when possible. Backstab outside of Shadow Dance. Shuriken Storm instead of Backstab on 2 or more targets. Shuriken Storm instead of Shadow Strike on 3 or more targets. An advanced tip would be using Shadow Strike to apply Find Weakness to multiple targets in cleave situations. Make sure to use a finishing move as soon as you hit 5 combo points. Your finishing moves split into 2 categories, which is what I talked about a bit earlier. The 2 categories are maintenance and damage. Your priority is to keep your maintenance up, and when that is up, you hammer all your combo points into damage, while making sure you only use your maintenance spells outside of Symbols of Death. Here's the priority list as it is. Slice and Dice when it's not up or you are within Pandemic. Rupture if Slice and Dice is up and there is no Rupture, or Rupture can be refreshed if the target survives at least 15 seconds. Rupture if Symbols of Death is about to come off cooldown and the remaining duration is too low to cover the entire cooldown. Eviscerate when Slice and Dice and Rupture are up. Secret Technique instead of Eviscerate if you're talented into it and it's not on cooldown. Stop using Rupture and Slice and Dice if you have more than 6 targets. Cooldown Usage. Use Symbols of Death on cooldown. Use Shadow Dance during Symbols of Death with low combo points, or if you're about to cap on charges. Use Vanish on cooldown. Use Shadow Blades on cooldown. Have instant poison applied at all times. Alright, now for the fun bit. The opener. The opener with Premeditation looks something like this. Shadow Strike, Rupture, Essence, Shadow Blades, Symbols of Death, Shadow Dance, Shadow Strike, and then you follow the priority list. Without Premeditation, it looks more like Shadow Strike, Slice and Dice, Essence, Shadow Blades, Symbols of Death, Shadow Dance, Shadow Strike, Rupture, and then again follow the priority list. I hope I managed to inform you guys properly on what choices to make playing Subtlety and pre-patch. Personally, I think we're in a very good position, even for Mythic Plus. I've managed to get roughly 4k in overall at the end of most dungeons, which means currently most range classes will still stomp us, but we're definitely up there in the melee pack. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please check out the links below. You can shoot any questions into my Discord community, which is 500 members currently and rapidly growing, or you can contact me directly on twitch.tv/ChevelleTV, where I stream every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, from 6 PM till 11 PM EU server time.